Brussels proposes return to pre-Brexit mobility for UK and EU young people. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline of Brussels proposes a return to pre-Brexit mobility for UK and EU young people. The Commission seeks to approve from leaders to start talks with the UK on a visa-free exchange for 18 to 30-year-olds. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what some of you guys are thinking. Saying that this is just talk, there's nothing here, it's just that this is just, there's nothing really to see here sort of thing. And I disagree. I generally think that for the benefit of both British and EU people, to be able to make it easier for the younger generation of both sides to be able to benefit from being able to have easier access to travel to the EU, and from those from the EU to travel to the UK at a young age where they can learn and study here, and our British youngsters can learn and study there. I think it's a very good thing, and I think it's a very beneficial thing on a number of things, on a number of wide range of issues. I think that I think it would be extremely beneficial to the youngsters. Now, whether this actually flourishes into actually something, we don't know. But this is only a propose, so it doesn't mean to say that this is something that's definitely going to happen. This is not something that basically means that should Labour come into power, which is very likely, does not simply mean that Keir Starmer and the Labour government are simply just going to walk right into this sort of thing. It is a proposes this return to a pre-Brexit mobility. Whether or not a future Labour government looks into this is one thing. But the fact that this is coming from Brussels, this isn't coming from the UK, this isn't coming from Labour, this is coming from the EU, who want both EU citizens and UK citizens to benefit from that freedom of movement, of visa exchange, sorry, not freedom of movement, but visa exchange, free exchange for 18 to 13-year-olds that would benefit them. And I think this is something that I'm sure that Labour would look into. Whether they will accept or do these proposals is another thing. But I certainly think, considering that Europe is our neighbours across the pond, and we want to rebuild that relationship which was destroyed by Brexit, we do want to rebuild that relationship. We do want to rebuild that trust. And we want to give our youngsters, I mean, surely some of you guys would agree with me that we want to give young people the best opportunities they can in their futures. And a visa-free exchange will really do help make that difference. And I really do wonder, if you are one of those people who vehemently disagree, explain why would you not want to give your younger people in this country the best opportunities, the best possibilities, the best careers that they could possibly have, learn from so much from going to the EU, and even from the EU's perspective, from them learning from the UK and vice versa. I can understand some people still wanting not to have the freedom of movement because of, in terms of the whole migration sort of thing. But this is about giving our youngsters the best possibilities and the best brightness for their futures. So let's read a little bit more into this, you guys. So, the European Commission has proposed opening negotiations with the UK to allow mobility enjoyed before Brexit to millions of 18 to 13-year-olds in a major concession. It said it would now seek approval from individual EU leaders. So this is very important. So it would need approval from individual EU leaders to start the talks, which could, so there are a lot of barriers already to this, yeah, so let's be very clear, which could partly eliminate one of the most controversial elements of Brexit, a block on the right to live in another one's country, a bit for a limited period with conditions. Referring to the post-Brexit trade agreement on Northern Ireland, the Commissioner President, Ursula von der Leyen, said, "Since we have the Windsor Agreement in place, the relationship has been much more constructive. There are certainly topics where we can have closer collaboration, and the topic of youth mobility is in both our interests, because the more we have youth mobility being on both sides of the channel, the more we increase the probability that we will be on good terms because the next generation knows each other very well." And yeah, that's a good thing. it's a better understanding of each other. Under the envisaged agreement, EU and UK citizens between 18 and 13 would be able to stay up to 4 years in the destination country, the European Commission said in a detailed statement. If agreed, a youth mobility scheme would be issued in those countries that participate, with possible conditions including a requirement for health insurance and a proof of sufficient subsidies funds, a feature of other mobility schemes around the world. The objective would be to facilitate youth exchanges, make it easier for young EU citizens to travel, work and live in the UK, with retrospectivity for young UK nationals in a member state, the Commission had said. The decision by the Commission, which has in the past been vehemently opposed to many concessions to the UK sought since Brexit, is seen as a breakthrough in the UK-EU relations. The proposal to open negotiations must be agreed by EU leaders. Sources say the first opportunity could arise in May at a meeting of General Affairs Ministers. Now, like I said, must be agreed by EU leaders. So there are a lot of hurdles if such a thing was to come to fruition. Let's be very clear about that. If approved, key word there, it would mean millions of young people could come to the UK to fill the gaps left by Brexit in the hospitality sector. Let's be very clear, we do have a gap in the hospitality sector. That is something that needs to be sorted. And it's easy for people to scream and shout in the comments saying, why don't we get British workers to do them? Well, it might have something to do with our wages being too low. But that could help fill the gap that we have right now. Because we're in a very we're in big doo-doo right now. I'm sure you guys are aware. You know, cost of living crisis, unemployment, etc., etc., etc. And also in universities, and this the university one's a big one, guys. So while we, their universities make a lot of money from people abroad coming to use our universities. Universities make a lot of money, from them. And obviously, they would continue to get more money, not just from, but they would get even more income for the use of having EU citizens there as well. So again, that would be more money for the universities, more money for the economy because they spend their money here. Isn't that a good thing? It would mean seasonal work from restaurants or work to jobs in ski resorts. It would be available again to British young people in EU countries as well. Yeah, so British young people would be able to work and take part and also contribute to EU economies with obviously as well. So there's a benefit for for UK citizens, young UK citizens. It may also make it easier for UK and EU universities to recruit researchers, particularly those in the Horizon Science Research Programme. Under the scheme, it would also envisage that university student home fee system would be restored in both directions and in the crippling overseas fees, which sometimes amount to more than 40,000 a year. The Swedish Minister for European Affairs, Jessica Rosquell, told The Guardian that Sweden has pushed for this and we feel very important for the youth and studies in the EU and the UK. They are the winners. In its announcement, the Commission said, someone forgot to put a space bar there, said it had acted after the UK had made approaches to individual EU countries, known to include France, and to open a youth mobility scheme. UK ministers have argued that it would not be a backtracking on one of the key elements of Brexit, the ending of freedom of movement for British citizens. No, we're talking about a visa scheme for young between 18 to 13. We're not talking about opening up the floodgates. Yeah, don't get mad, Brexiteers, don't get mad. We're not opening up the floodgates. This is specifically to give our young British citizens an opportunity to work and contribute. For those who want to go and work and be a part of schemes and whatnot in certain EU countries, that's what it is. And for young EU citizens to come and work and to contribute to the UK to help us, especially with our economy that we are situated in. I think, this could be a great benefit. They argue that France already has such an agreement with Canada, and Australia has a similar deal with the UK, and it would be an important way to foster cultural exchanges for future generations. Mobility would not be purpose-bound, i.e. beneficiaries should be able to undertake different activities during that period, such as studying, training, working or travelling. Neither would mobility be subject to a quota system, said the Commission. Kate Nicholas, the Chief Executive of UK Hospitality, said, We have been calling for these schemes to be expanded, and I'm pleased to see the EU Commission coming to the table with a plan to open negotiations. I hope the EU Council agrees with the proposals and that talks between the UK and EU can begin as soon as possible. The Commission's statement raises the possibility that it could pave the way for university places in one other's country if a member state and the UK saw fit. An agreement would also provide for equal treatment, i.e. non-discrimination between EU and UK citizens in respect of higher education tuition fees, the statement said. The Commission stressed that a youth mobility scheme would not be a reinstating free movement, as it would come with conditions including a limited stay in one other's country. So this is the thing, this is not permanent. Yeah, you cannot stay permanently. Yeah, this is what would be under this proposal. Yeah, it's very clear. So this is not complete total freedom of movement forever. That's not what this proposal is, guys. The envisioned agreement would provide for limited in-time mobility, subject to fulfillment of conditions to be checked before the mobility can take place. The conditions should also be met during the stay. It's not about conferring to youth and nationals the benefit of fundamental freedom of movement enjoyed by the EU citizens, it said. It added that Brexit had particularly affected the opportunities for young people to experience life on the other side of the channel and to benefit from youth, cultural, education, research and training exchanges. It said that a blog-wide deal would be preferable in a series of bilaterals, as it would ensure equal treatment for every person in the scheme. Lord Kinnock, the chair of the House of Lords European Affairs Committee, which recommended such a mobility programme, welcomed the development, saying if agreement was reached, it would be greatly beneficial, greatly to the mutual benefit of both parties and to the Europe group, to the youth of Europe. So there's, at the time of this recording, there has been no comment from the current Conservative government, but I'm pretty sure that if they had their way, they would just say no straight away to it, if I'm honest. But I think it's something that Labour could look into, a future Labour government could look into if they do. I don't trust this Conservative government to want this proposal anyway. They would argue that it's not in the benefit of the UK in some way, shape or form, especially with the scandals after scandals and things that are going on with this current lot. They would not, in my opinion, they would not approve of this proposal. However, I do think, Labour would see the benefits of this, and we want to give our young future generations the best possibilities, the best opportunities that they possibly can. And I really do believe that we want to give them the best futures and the best possibilities that we can, and them being able to work and contribute and, study and learn about cultures and whatnot. That's a good thing. It's a great thing. And it would also benefit EU citizens as well, under bettering and understanding of things with the UK as well. So it's not an open floodgates of freedom of movement. That's not what this is. But I know people in the comments will try to argue that it is. But that's not what it is. This is about giving UK and EU citizens the opportunities giving them more opportunities and more benefits for them. But obviously there are a lot, as it says in the article, there are lots and lots of hoops to jump through for any of this to get off the ground anyway. So bear that in mind when we're talking about such a scheme. But what do you make of this scheme? What do you make of the opportunities that could be proposed here by Brussels for EU and UK citizens, vice versa, and how it could benefit both the European Union and benefit the UK? What do you make in individual countries? How do they feel about such a proposal? What do you think here in the UK? Let me know your thoughts and more about this in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.